The national electricity transmission grid known as the national grid has continued to suffer because the federal government jettisoned the supergrid scheme approved by the Federal Executive Council (FEC) 6 years ago. The supergrid scheme, investigations revealed, was approved to reduce the burden on the national grid. Although the federal government has privatized the generation and distribution strata of electricity and handed its assets over to new owners, the grid is still under the government's control due to its ownership of the transmission system. The federal government is still responsible for mainly maintenance of the national grid, which is due for an overhaul. Described by some stakeholders as the weakest link between the generation and distribution strata of the power industry, the incessant collapse of the national grid has been blamed because there is no significant change in the power supply between the last and the present government. Expressing disappointment over the abandonment of the supergrid scheme, former Minister of Power, Professor Nnaji, who got the FEC to approve the scheme 6 years ago before his exit from government, said the supergrid wasn't going to be built by government alone, but was going to be a public-private partnership (PPP). Because the supergrid scheme had been abandoned, the national grid keeps suffering collapses, which has grounded the power supply nationwide. Source: New Telegraph.